So this film was 7 years in the making?
Yeah, about. I mean, I think that we were about three years in production, and maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years before that, trying to raise the money and get interest in the film.
And you discovered a lot of the archival materials, is that correct? Or you and your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of doing any historical film is trying to, find new stuff and try to, just get stuff that people haven't seen. I think, one of the things that happened for the Panthers was that, they were such media stars, they were such media darlings that we found a lot of footage that we didn't know that we would find. When we first went to, one of the first things you do is, you go to the networks, NBC, ABC, CBS, and say, give me everything you have on the Panthers. And when we went to NBC, they said, well, we've got too much. We can't even dub it off. It's like, I forgot what it was, 100 hours of footage. So we had to send somebody down to NBC to just look at it there and then pick out what they wanted. So yeah, there was a lot of material.
So, and is there a story to how this came to be made? I mean, why? I mean, this is such an important American story. Why wasn't it made sooner? And how did you come to it? And
yeah, I mean, when we first finished the film 2 years ago or so, one of the questions that we got constantly was, why hasn't anybody ever made a film? Because there really has been no film about the Panthers that kind of puts it all together. And I think, the first few times I was asked that question, I tried to answer it, and then I realized, I don't know, I have no idea why nobody made the film. But they didn't. I think maybe, it's a complicated story, and nobody just put it together.
Well, we can talk about lots of stuff. We can talk, and your questions are invited. We can talk about Fred Hampton, for example, and sort of the gaping hole in American history that he represents. I mean, he's a story that I think many of us, perhaps most of us, didn't know anything about, and it's impossible not to imagine the important future that he would have had, and. Was he a discovery for you, or?
No. I mean, one of the strangest things is that, maybe in like 1971 or so, I wandered into a movie theater with a friend of mine because the Murder of Fred Hampton was playing, and it was one of those things where we were literally. I live in New York City, and we were literally just walking down Broadway, and we saw on the marquee the Murder of Fred Hampton. And we kind of knew who Fred Hampton was, and we saw the poster, and it's a Black Panther, and we just went into the movie theater, and we never, we weren't out to go see it, and that was one of the reasons why I got into filmmaking, because I saw this film, which you can still get, called The Murder of Fred Hampton, and we use a lot of footage. A lot of the Fred Hampton footage that we use is from that movie, but it was it was a movie with a point of view. It didn't say, Fred Hampton was good and then he was bad, and then he was good and then he was bad. And the police did it, but they didn't do it. And they did it, but, which is kind of the state of journalism in our country today. This was a film about, Fred Hampton that said, he was murdered by the police. And I was like, whoa. You can actually say that. And it really inspired me. It was one of the things that stuck with me. And so I was very fortunate to retell that story, and actually the director of the film is interviewed in the film here, and that was just a real treat for me to interview the director of the film.